Hotel station. This is KC9VKV.
Hey, Jim, Dave.
Kilo Sugar 4.
Echo in South Carolina. Appreciate you doing this. Got an ICOM 7200.
Kilo Charlie Yankee American.
American station, stand by. Dave, come back with your call sign again. HH, what's the rest in front?
Roger. Kilo Romeo 4, Hotel, over.
Roger, and what's your location?
I'm in Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh, roger that, sir. And just out of curiosity, what kind of power?
100 watt into a wire antenna, about 72 feet long, about 50 feet up, running 45-degree angle.
Roger. Well, that's you are exactly why I'm here now, because we were running our Qso-Vlog program at 10:30 in the morning on 40 meters, and 100-watt stations coming in like 300-400 miles away were coming in at maybe a dB or two above my noise level. So we're looking for a better situation, and I think we've found it. Roger?
Roger, yeah. Well, the antenna is temporary. It's all I can put up right now, so that's what I've got. And just wondered how the audio was sounding to you with this situation.
Roger. Well, it's Mike could use a little processing. Could you run about a 3 on your compressor?
Okay, it's up to a 3, and I have the mic gain on 16.
Okay, now look at your ALC, and you should be running mid-scale to 2/3 deflection on your ALC meter.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I'm peeking over a little bit at point.
You are outside of the ALC guidelines?
Roger, I'm going up to 20 several times.
Roger, well, just stay within ALC max. Try not to exceed ALC max. I sometimes run there just right on the edge myself, but all radios are different, and some radios fall apart if you push them up there. But this radio is just really beautiful. This is a modified Yaesu FT990. It's about 30 some odd years old, but we've tinkered around a little bit, and it's I think it's supposed to be a 2.4, but I think we're doing about 3 now, somewhere in that area. And the receiver's also been modified to exhibit a much flatter audio response in the bandpass. Roger.
Good, real good sound, Jim. Very good sound. I came down just a tad on the mic gain, and I don't know how that's helping, but the mic here is a Heil, so it's supposed to give me a little better audio.
Oh, Roger. And you've got your windscreen in place?
I do, yes.
Very necessary thing, it just takes all of the things that you don't want going out on the air from happening. I mean, just a good windscreen just is amazing. I have about 3. This one actually probably needs to be replaced. But I just haven't. A lot of my music stores up in this area have closed down, and music stores are the best place to get your windscreens outside of the internet. I guess a lot of folks do the internet. I'm still trying to recuperate from the loss of my Radio Shacks. I dearly miss not having a Radio Shack to be able to run up and grab this or grab that or the other thing, But time marches on, Roger.
Yeah, very right, Jim. Yeah, I have an Alexa voice that I use for music, singing with a band, and I was gonna run it through, use that, but then I just decided to go ahead and go with the ICOM that was already set up and sent out. But this radio just has, gain and compression. I have no EQ, so that's kind of why I was wanting to get a report from you.
Oh, you do not have any EQ?
No EQ at all, no sir, just compression and gain control, that's it.
Roger, now that, how old is that radio?
No, it's not very old. I've only had it a few months. I was licensed way back in '93 and got out of radio around 2000. Sold my gear, gave some stuff away, so now I'm kind of an old timer getting back in after many years.
Roger that, Roger that. And you have the owner's manual, the operator's manual, and nowhere in there they don't talk about EQ at all?
Well, I need to go back and look, but I know on the radio I've got compression in my game, and I don't believe I can mess with the EQ otherwise.
Roger, I would check. I would, if you don't have the books, I would go to oh gosh. Anyway, I've had a mental lapse here. Not YouTube, but Google. Google. How can I forget Google? Anything you want to know, Google knows. If you're curious about that, and you don't have the manual, you could go to Google and Google your model number, and it'll give you probably a PDF of owner's manual or whatever, and you could look. If that radio, you think it's older than 10 years?
Well, this particular radio is not, but it's been out, I think, at least 10 years. It's not a new model.
Roger. I'd look around and see if it does have EQ. If it does, my standard thing on EQ, I approach I approach all radios the same way, with a sledgehammer and a Jim Bowie knife. But on the EQ, I approach it from the standpoint of mid-range is your reference point. Mid-range is going to be mid-range, and that is where you start from. So on EQ mid-range, you just leave it flat. No cut, no boost. Just leave mid-range flat. Go up to the top-end EQ. Run it about half of its possibilities. If it's a 1 to 10, put it on a 5. And then the rest of the ball game is all at the bottom end on the low-frequency EQ. And you can plus that, minus that, if you want to move towards a more QSO situation. You're probably going to be maybe boosting a tad, but not to the point of being muddy, but to the point of having content in the bottom end. On the other hand, you can take that bottom end and roll it back on the negative side, 3 dB or so, and then you have an attack dog as far as a microphone. But just because you're changing from a DX or a contest microphone to a QSO microphone, the whole thing is done in the bottom end. I would leave the top end alone. If you're running +3 on the top end, running flat in the mid-range, then I would make the bass do whatever I needed it to do. Roger?
Yeah, I got you. So what's your overall report at this point with how it sounds?
Well, if you're running a mid-range on your ALC and you're running a 3 on your compressor, it might be interesting if you came up a little bit on the compressor, because you're not really too fat on your audio. You've got a lot of swing in your audio, so your dynamic range is around 8 dB or so. You want to close that dynamic range to about 3 dB, and so you're going to have to compress that signal or limit that signal. So if you're at the mid-range, mid-scale on your ALC meter, that's the limiting aspect of it. So you can't really improve that much if you're mid-range. So about the only thing you can do is come on that compressor and maybe run it up to a 5 and see how much that reduces the dynamic range. And I don't know, Mother Nature may be playing games. We may have faded out by now. Dave, you still have a copy? This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog program. I'm not sure where Dave went, but maybe he'll be back. He could be in the bowels of his radio, upside down with his Jim Bowie knife, performing surgery on the compressor. I'm not sure, but anyway, Dave, you still there? Dave is gone, been stolen by gypsies at such a tender age. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog program. If you have a radio you want to check out, we are recording, and we'll be posting this up on YouTube within the next couple of days. And you'll be going to YouTube and doing a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. And then you'll be looking for a session entitled My Group AirCheck 11-23-18. My Group AirCheck 11-23-18. This is KC9VKV.